Now I want to talk about troubleshooting consolidations of results when the extractors haven't entered the outcomes or the results in quite the same way. And I want to give you an example here. So here we can see the outcome is pulmonary sarcoidosis duration, and the reference is for no exposure, and we're looking at the number of years. And so what we have is one, you'll see over here, this all looks pretty fine. You'll notice that one of the extractors defined the comparison here as just an overall ANOVA. The other defined the comparison as exposed job exposure matrix to unexposed based on job exposure matrix. And so what we have is two different things. Now the question is, do we really need to go back in and harmonize or change one of these to look like the other? The fact is we really don't. What we're really looking at is that we want to make sure the values are correct. Now let me explain a couple of things. The default is always odds ratio. So you have your odds ratio, your 95% confidence interval low for the odds ratio, and high. The order here matches the order here. Well, the authors reported the duration in terms of, or the results in terms of an incident rate ratio, and it's adjusted. So we added that in, and you can see that both of the extractors used incident rates ratio, the adjusted, but they just, like I said, they defined the comparisons differently. Again, I don't really care that these are defined a little differently. What I'm doing is creating the consolidated or harmonized version, and what I'm really looking for is a check of accuracy. So you'll see here I've already set up some comparisons so that I have empty spaces here where I can now add the appropriate numbers. But let's look at the 3 to 8 year comparison, and this is compared to no exposure. And you can see that I don't really have, it's grayed out. I really can't do anything. Now I could press these, but what I want to make sure is a comparison is set up, because you'll see it says no arm comparison. If you see that in the most right hand column, that means we really haven't set up the comparisons yet. But let me show you how to do that. So I can click here. I want to compare exposed to unexposed. I'll add the comparison. We'll give it just a second to think, and what we should see is that these over here are going to open up, and that's now going to allow me to add the values. So I'm just going to click, and you'll see that created successfully. Click, click. I'm adding these in because remember, incident rate ratio is not the default. Odds ratio is. So I have to add these in manually, but as you can see, it's just with a little click. Now, once I have this, I can do very simply, you'll see it says you can't do anything with this, but you can actually copy and paste. Now here I see, the extractors agreed, but one of them added in a parentheses, just a typo. Okay, I'm not going to copy that over. And so what I've done now is by populating this, I'm in the consolidated record, I'm actually adding this to the record. So again, just remember, if you see grayed out, that means you need to add comparisons, and you can do this with this button over here. Once you've done that, add in your measures, and then you can build out what you need for your consolidated record.